One. The NYPD under assault, the Islamic hate group CARE, that's what they are, don't be fooled. They held a rally outside of the NYPD headquarters, this was on Friday, calling for the continued resignation of the police commissioner Ray Kelly. They're also calling for so-called reforms, we're going to go over exactly what that means, within the NYPD. Now this comes as a confidential document from the NYPD was linked. It's been reported, front page of the New York Times now, several other New York Times articles, information that the police department apparently recommended to increase surveillance of thousands of Shiite mosques and Muslims throughout the New York City. Now this also comes as a documentary, it's called The Third Jihad, was screened recently for 1,500 police officers who are doing training. Joining me right now, fresh off the airplane from New York, she just landed in Tel Aviv. She's on Eastern time, I guess, just like me, is Clare Lopez, who's a senior fellow at the Clarion Fund. She began her career as an operations officer with the CIA, serving domestically and abroad for 20 years in various assignments. Clare Lopez, welcome to Tel Aviv and welcome to Aaron Klein Investigative Radio.
Thanks so much, Aaron. It's great to be with you.
Absolutely. So The Third Jihad, it was narrated by a devout Muslim. His name is Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. And in fact, he was on my program last week. It makes very clear in the beginning that this is not a film about all Muslims. This is not about Islam. It's not even about American Muslims. We are talking about a minority of Muslims who are actively engaged in jihad, in trying to replace also the United States Constitution with Sharia Islamic law, which is something that we constantly hear from people like the Ground Zero Imam, is somehow compliant with the Constitution. No, it's not. So what exactly is CARE's problem with the film?
Well, Aaron, the problem is not just that CARE has a problem with the film. The problem is that an organization which actually is a front for Hamas, is a subordinate entity of the Muslim Brotherhood, is trying to dictate counterterrorism policy, training policy, to the New York Police Department. The fact that the New York Police Department and Commissioner Ray Kelly showed this film to so many of its trainees should be a point of pride for the force. That force is a premier force in the United States. It is a force that has kept New Yorkers and Americans safe for 10 years and counting after 9/11. There is nothing in this film that CARE, for instance, can point to and say that is counterfactual. They are pointing to the film and criticizing the film, criticizing Ray Kelly for showing the film, but they never say what it is about the film that is false or that they have a problem with. So the New York Police Department is to be commended. Ray Kelly is to be commended. He should not have apologized for showing this film.
Yeah, you mentioned CARE, which is the Islamic and Hamas front group. Also interesting here is something called the Brennan Center for Justice at NYU, at the New York University School of Law, because they now have posted several opinion pieces throughout different newspapers around the country, including in the New York Times, which, as I said, has done 10 articles to date. They are obsessed with this issue. They're now calling for Ray Kelly to resign. They're also calling for the Inspector General, the Muslim-sensitive Inspector General, to oversee the NYPD. So very interestingly, there is an, until now, not really talked about relationship between CARE and that Brennan Center at NYU that is at the forefront of this assault against the NYPD. What is that relationship?
Well, Aaron, you've put your finger right on it. CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, actually gave an award to the Brennan Center in 2009. So the relationship between these two organizations goes back a number of years. And the fact that the Brennan Center was thought of so well and is associated so closely with CARE that it received actually an award in 2009 should speak to what is going on right now.
So let's be clear here, and we're speaking with the former CIA operations officer Clare Lopez of the Clarion Fund. Are you saying that Muslim Brotherhood like-minded organizations, that Muslim Brotherhood affiliated organizations within the United States, which already really erased the concept, really the phraseology, the word terrorism, Islamic terrorism, erased from the dictionary of the U.S. government, are you saying that they're trying to oversee how the NYPD will protect us from Islamic jihad?
That looks to be the case, Aaron. Not only, of course, is CARE an organization doing business in the United States as CARE, but it is actually Hamas. It is actually an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood itself. CARE is an unindicted co-conspirator, so listed by the Department of Justice in the 2008 terror funding trial case of the Holy Land Foundation. That foundation's leadership is now in jail. The center, the Holy Land Foundation, is shut down. So this is CARE. And also we have to remember that CARE's top leadership, among its top leadership, are 4 or 5 individuals who themselves were accused, tried, found guilty of terrorism-related charges, and some of whom are now serving time in jail. So you have this organization, a Muslim Brotherhood front organization, yes, trying to dictate counterterrorism policy to the NYPD, and for what reason? To shut down the kind of message that is presented in the Third Jihad. By the way, for your listeners who'd be interested, the Third Jihad can be seen for free streaming online at www.thethirdjihad.com, and at that website also, for those who are interested, they could buy a DVD. But the Third Jihad tells the truth about what you say exactly, Aaron, this small minority of Muslims who are intent upon insinuating Sharia law into Western civilizations, including into the United States, supplanting the United States Constitution. That small minority is exposed in this film, The Third Jihad. And as you mentioned as well, the narrator of the film itself is Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, a Navy veteran, a medical doctor, a devout Muslim himself, and also the founder and the president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy. So he and also a group of other Muslims have come together precisely to offer their support for Ray Kelly, for the NYPD. Ray Kelly agreed to appear in this film. He has appearances, interviews in this film. And so the film itself is long.
Well, so now he's actually saying that he regrets participation in the Third Jihad. Why do you think he's saying that all of a sudden?
Well, I think it's pretty clear that the commissioner is under a great deal of pressure. He's under pressure from groups like CARE, which are known to litigate, to bring lawsuits against individuals and entities. He is probably under a great deal of pressure within the municipality, within the city of New York itself. I would hope that behind the scenes the New York Police Department continues to do business in the exemplary way that it has done for the last 10+ years since 9/11, keeping New Yorkers safe. But it is regrettable that Ray Kelly would at least publicly bow down to this kind of pressure from an organization with terrorist ties like CARE.
Now, we have the threat of Sharia within the United States, but maybe there's something a little bit more sinister going on here, a little bit more immediate, because I note that Iranian press television, has been all over this story. I also note that the ABC News today, also yesterday, major report, reporting that there are threats against Jewish targets in the United States, including in New York. We're talking about Jewish and Israeli targets on high alert, according to an internal security document obtained by ABC News. Also, just hours ago here in the Middle East, a Republican Guard member warned Iran will target any country where an attack against it is staged. In other words, they're threatening the United States, they're threatening Israel. Do you believe it's possible, and we have about a minute and a half left, that this assault is not just a long-term assault, but maybe they're trying to catch the NYPD off guard right now?
Well, very quickly, I know there's a short time here, but there are a few things going on. Number one, we did have the Director of National Intelligence of the United States, that is General James Clapper, speaking on Capitol Hill during this past week, a couple of days ago, warning that Iranian militias, cells, or cells acting on their behalf like Hezbollah might be targeting within the United States. Now let's remember, Iran has been found in a December 22, 2011 ruling in the Southern District of New York by Judge George Daniels to have provided direct and material support to al-Qaeda in the attacks of 9/11. That is the precedent we're looking at. The fact that they would now be doing it again should not surprise anyone. Number two, it is worthy to note that the Sunnis and the Shias, you're talking about CARE, Muslim Brotherhood, Iranians, on the same page of music. That is not unprecedented. It is to be expected that they would be on that same page of music. And then finally, the fact that the Iranians feel themselves threatened in one sense, but also empowered in another. They have not been meaningfully checked in any way, shape, or form with their threats of genocide against the State of Israel, with their threats against the United States, or ever held accountable for the attacks of 9/11. And now, feeling under pressure from many sides, it is expected that they will be striking out, and we are under warning both here in Israel and in the United States that their cells may be activated, Hezbollah cells, terror proxies acting on their behalf as well.
Yes, proxies is the key word. Iran works via proxies, and those proxies right now are a threat on the streets of New York. Clare Lopez, former CIA operations officer, Clare Lopez of the Clarion Fund. Clare Lopez live with me right here in my Tel Aviv studio. Thank you for being here on Aaron Klein Investigative Radio. The number 1-800-848-WABC. That's 1-800-848-9222. I will be taking questions and comments next. Very good.
Okay, I think we hit a lot of points.
Yeah.